The alarms screamed across the Galactic Council chambers as Counselor Vexter stared at the holographic display in horror. The Altair system was disappearing before their eyes. Not destroyed, not conquered, consumed. "How long did they have?" whispered Ambassador Coleman, his blue-scaled hands trembling as he watched the readings. 17 hours, Vextar replied, his voice barely audible. 17 hours from first contact to complete system absorption. The crystalline device had appeared without warning. Massive geometric entities that moved through space like living diamonds. They didn't attack planets or ships, they ignored them entirely. Instead, they went straight for Altair's twin stars and began feeding. The stars dimmed, flickered, and died within hours as the creatures absorbed every photon of stellar radiation. "Our battle fleets?" Coleman asked, though he already knew the answer. "Retreated after losing 3 destroyers. The moment our ships entered the system's outer edge, the Devourers turned toward them. Admiral Morthen said their energy weapons actually made the creatures stronger. They absorbed the plasma blasts like snacks." Vextar collapsed into his floating chair, exhaustion weighing on his ancient frame. The Galactic Council had faced many threats over the millennia. Space pirates, rogue, artificial intelligences, even the occasional aggressive species. But this was different. These entities existed in environments that would kill any known life form instantly. They thrived in the vacuum of space, fed on raw stellar energy, and seemed completely immune to every weapon in their arsenal. 17 star systems lost in 3 months, Vextar continued. Our scientists can't even study them properly. Every time we send research vessels, the Devourers either ignore them or consume them. We have no idea what they want, where they come from, or how to stop them. The chamber fell silent, except for the soft hum of life support systems. Representatives from 47 different civilizations sat in stunned quiet, each knowing their advanced, comfortable worlds were completely helpless against this threat. Coleman cleared his throat nervously. "There is one option we haven't considered." Vexter looked up sharply. "What option?" "The Deathworlders from Sol3, the humans." A collective gasp filled the chamber. Several representatives immediately began protesting, their various languages creating a chaotic symphony of refusal. "Absolutely not," shouted Counselor Ythra. "Those creatures are barely civilized. They still fight wars on their own planet. They live on a world that actively tries to kill them." Coleman replied quietly, "Maybe that's exactly what we need right now." Ambassador Thielen's diplomatic vessel approached the Sol system with careful precision. His research team had prepared him for contact with a primitive species that had barely mastered spaceflight. According to their data, humans had only left their planet a few decades ago. They expected to find confused, frightened beings who would need extensive explanation about galactic politics and the current crisis. Instead, as they neared Earth's moon, a sleek human station appeared on their screens. Luna Station was far more advanced than their intelligence had suggested, with weapon systems that made Thielen's security chief nervous. "Unknown vessel, this is Luna Control. Please state your business in the Sol system." The voice that crackled over their communications was calm and professional. "This is Ambassador Thielen of the Galactic Council. We request peaceful contact with your species regarding an urgent matter." "Copy that, Ambassador. Docking Bay 7 is prepared for your arrival. Commander Jin will meet you personally." Thielen blinked his 4 eyes in surprise. They already knew about the Galactic Council. How was that possible? The docking procedure went smoothly, and Thielen found himself face to face with Commander Jin, a human female, wearing a crisp, military uniform. Her dark eyes showed no surprise, no wonder, no fear, just professional courtesy. "Welcome to Luna Station, Ambassador," Jin said, extending her hand in what Thielen recognized as a human greeting gesture. "I assume you're here about the crystalline Devourers." Thielen's translator nearly malfunctioned. You know about them. We've been monitoring galactic communications for 20 years, Jin replied casually. We know about the 17 systems they've consumed. We also know your fleets can't touch them. Before Thielen could respond, another human entered the room. Captain Bo was shorter than Jin, but carried himself with quiet confidence. He looked at the holographic footage of devourers that Thielen had prepared for his presentation. So these things eat stars, Bo said, studying the data. They ignore smaller targets unless threatened, they absorb energy weapons, and they operate in stellar coronas. He looked up at the ambassador with an expression that made Thielen's skin crawl. Can we kill them? The question hit Thielen like a physical blow. Not how do we negotiate with them? Or what do they want? Just a simple, direct question about ending their existence. We haven't considered, Thielen, Stammered. Jin and Bo exchanged glances. We have, Jin said quietly. Dr. Min had been awake for 72 hours straight, her eyes bloodshot as she stared at the holographic displays surrounding her desk. Coffee cups littered her workspace at the Terra Research Facility, each one a testament to her obsession with understanding these stellar predators. Look at this pattern, she muttered to her research partner, Dr. Han. The Devourers don't just randomly attack stars. They're selective. They prefer main sequence stars with specific energy outputs. Han leaned over her shoulder, studying the data. What are you thinking? They're not mindless eating machines. They're hunters, and hunters have predictable behaviors. Min highlighted several consumed systems on the galactic map. See how they always approach from the system's north pole. They avoid asteroid fields and gas giants. They want clean, direct access to their prey. Meanwhile, 3 levels below, in the engineering bay, Tay was having his own breakthrough. The alien weapon data had been useless. Every energy weapon the Galactic Council possessed actually fed the Devourers. But Tay wasn't thinking like an alien. Why are we trying to shoot them from a distance? He asked his team. These things live inside stars. The temperature near a star's core is 15 million degrees. If they can survive that, our plasma weapons are just snacks to them. His assistant, Engineer Park, looked up from her workstation. So what do you suggest? We don't fight them from outside the star system, Tay said, his eyes gleaming with dangerous excitement. We fight them where they feed. Inside the stellar corona. The two teams combined their research and presented their findings to Commander Jin. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. You want to build ships that can operate inside a star's atmosphere, Jin said slowly. Not just operate, Tay corrected. Hunt. Within weeks, the shipyards above Earth buzzed with activity. The humans weren't building traditional starships, they were constructing mobile fortresses designed for the most hostile environment imaginable. Reinforced hulls that could withstand stellar radiation, magnetic field generators that could repel solar flares, cooling systems that could function at temperatures that would vaporize most known materials. Ambassador Thielen watched the construction through the observation deck's transparent aluminum windows, his forearms trembling with horror. This is madness, he whispered to Commander Jin. No species has ever attempted combat operations inside a stellar corona. The radiation alone would kill any known life form within seconds. Jin looked at him with that calm, unsettling expression humans seem to wear constantly. Ambassador, we evolved on a planet where the atmosphere can kill you, the water can kill you, and most of the wildlife actively hunts you for food. She gestured toward the ships taking shape in the construction bays. This is just Tuesday for us. The joint fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, and immediately the alien crews began to panic. On the main view screen, 3 massive crystalline devourers clung to the system's primary star like parasites, their diamond-shaped bodies glowing white-hot as they absorbed stellar energy. Radiation levels are off the charts, reported Admiral Zenthak from his flagship. My sensors can barely function at this distance. We should retreat to at least 50 astronomical units. Captain Na of the human vessel Inchin stood on her bridge, studying the same readings with cold calculation. Radiation looks normal for stellar proximity operations. All ships, prepare for Corona insertion. Corona insertion. Ambassador Thielen, S. Voice cracked over the communications. Captain Na, you cannot be serious. The temperature near that star exceeds 10 million degrees. Copy that, Ambassador. We've dealt with worse. Na turned to her crew. Engineering, bring the magnetic shields to full power. Medical prep, the radiation treatment bays. Weapons, charge the kinetic launchers. The alien fleet watched in horrified fascination as 3 human ships Shinchin, Busan and Daegu broke formation and accelerated directly toward the star. Their hulls began glowing cherry red as they passed through the star's outer atmosphere, but the ships showed no signs of distress. This is impossible, whispered Counselor Yithra. Those ships should be vapor by now. Commander Jin's voice came over the fleet communications from Luna Station. Gentlemen, you're watching humans do what we do best. We're taking the fight to an environment where our enemies think they're safe. The Devourers noticed the approaching. Human ships had begun to move. Their crystalline bodies unfolded like deadly flowers, revealing weapon ports that crackled with absorbed stellar energy. They fired concentrated plasma beams that would have instantly destroyed any alien vessel. The human ships didn't dodge. Instead, they flew directly through the plasma streams, their magnetic shields deflecting the energy harmlessly into space. Impossible, breathed Admiral Zenthak. They're using the star's own magnetic field as a shield. Captain Na's voice cut through the static.com and professional, despite operating in conditions that would kill most known life forms. Target the lead Devourers, feeding appendages. Let's see how they like eating kinetic rounds instead of photons. The 3 human ships spread out in attack formation, weaving between solar flares, like fighter pilots navigating thunderstorms. They were hunting predators in their own territory, and they were winning. How are they surviving this? Thielen asked, his voice filled with awe. They're not surviving it, Jin replied. They're enjoying it. The battle was going well until the Devourers changed tactics. Captain Na had just landed her 3rd successful hit on the lead creature, when alarms started screaming across the alien fleet channels. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Admiral Zenthak's voice cracked with panic. They're targeting us. 2 of the Devourers had suddenly broken away from the star and were accelerating toward the alien support fleet. Their crystalline bodies shifted and morphed, revealing new weapon configurations designed specifically for ship-to-ship combat. How did they adapt so quickly? Ambassador Thielen gasped as his diplomatic vessel shuddered under a near miss. Commander Wu, piloting the destroyer Soul alongside Na's task force, watched the alien retreat with grim understanding. They're smart. They figured out we need the support ships for supplies and communications. The first alien vessel to fall was a Zenthari science ship. The Devourer's energy beam sliced through its shields like paper, and the ship simply vanished in a flash of superheated metal. The second victim was Admiral Zenthak's own flagship. Its crew evacuated just before the Devourer consumed the vessels. Power core, fleet order, immediate withdrawal to hyperspace coordinates, 77 Alpha, Zenthak commanded from his escape pod. This mission is a failure. Within minutes, the alien fleet had jumped to safety, leaving only the 3 human ships to face 5 increasingly aggressive Devourers. Well, this is awkward, Captain Na muttered over the com. Commander Wu, what's your assessment? Wu studied his tactical display as solar flares erupted around his ship. The Devourers were regrouping, preparing to overwhelm the remaining human vessels with coordinated attacks. They want to finish us off, he replied. But they're moving away from the star to do it. That's their mistake. Explain. They're chasing us toward the Kepler 442b binary system. 2 dying stars in gravitational collapse. The space-time distortions there are so violent that most ships can't even maintain stable flight paths. Nah, caught on immediately. But we're not most ships. Exactly. All vessels, follow my lead. We're taking these crystal bastards into a stellar graveyard. The 3 human ships accelerated away from the primary star, with the 5 devourers in hot pursuit. Behind them, space itself began to warp and twist as they approached the binary system where 2 massive stars were locked in their final death. Spyro. This is insane, radioed Lieutenant Kim from the Daegu. The gravitational shears will tear us apart. Only if we fight them, Wu replied calmly. We're going to use them. The gravitational chaos of the dying binary system grabbed the human ships and flung them into a cosmic nightmare. Lieutenant Ra watched from the bridge of the Daegu as massive chunks of shattered planets tumbled past her viewport, each piece glowing red-hot from the intense radiation. We've lost main weapons, reported Sergeant Lee from the weapons station. The gravitational stress fractured our primary kinetic launchers, and our magnetic shields are failing, added Engineering Officer Park. The space-time distortions are interfering with our field generators. The 5 devourers had followed them into this stellar graveyard, but they were struggling too. Their crystalline bodies flickered and sparked as conflicting gravitational forces pulled them in different directions. For the first time since the battle began, the creatures looked vulnerable. Sir, we're trapped between a neutron star fragment and an expanding gas cloud, Park reported. Standard protocols say we should try to escape to open space. Ra stared at the tactical display, her mind racing. Around them, the remains of dead worlds created a deadly obstacle course. Solar flares from the dying stars erupted every few minutes, turning space into a radioactive storm. Any sane crew would be looking for an exit. Instead, Ra smiled. Park, can you reconfigure our magnetic field generators to work as a focusing array? A focusing array for what? Those solar flares. Lee, start loading our torpedo tubes with asteroid fragments. Biggest chunks you can find. Lee stared at her. Ma'am, you want to shoot rocks at creatures that can survive inside stars? Not just rocks. Rocks accelerated by solar wind and guided by controlled magnetic fields. Ra pointed at the tactical display. See that iron-nickel asteroid? It's 3 kilometers wide and moving at 12,000 kilometers per second, thanks to the gravitational slingshot. We're going to grab it with our magnetic fields and use it as a bullet. The plan was insane by any galactic standard. While other species built technology to escape dangerous environments, humans were actively embracing the chaos around them. They were turning the deadly stellar graveyard into their personal weapons factory. The next solar flare erupted right on schedule. Park's modified field generators caught the plasma stream and focused it into a coherent beam. The superheated solar matter struck the asteroid Ra had targeted, accelerating it directly toward the nearest devourer. The creature tried to absorb the incoming projectile like it had absorbed energy weapons. But you can't absorb 3 kilometers of solid iron moving at relativistic speeds. The impact was spectacular. Target destroyed, Lee reported with obvious satisfaction. 4 devourers remaining. Reload with more asteroids, Ra ordered. This is our kind of fight now. Captain Bin's ship, the Guangzhou, shuddered as something massive wrapped around its hull. Through the bridge viewports, he could see crystalline tendrils slowly covering his vessel like the fingers of an enormous hand. It's the big one, reported Lieutenant Yoon from the sensor station. The Devourer Queen. She's 3 times larger than the others, and she's trying to absorb our entire ship. The vessel's lights flickered as the creature began draining their power systems. Warning alarms blared as hull temperature readings climbed toward critical levels. Most crews would be preparing for evacuation to escape pods. Instead, Captain Ben opened the ship's internal communications. All hands, this is the captain. We're being absorbed by the primary target. Standard combat protocols are now in effect. His crew didn't panic. They didn't question the order. Within minutes, 18 human soldiers were suiting up in personal combat armor designed for the most hostile environments imaginable. Each suit was a miniature spaceship, equipped with life support, magnetic boots, and close-range plasma cutters. "Sir, the ship's hull is breaching," Sergeant Cho reported. "The creature is pulling us inside its body." "Perfect," Ben replied, checking his suit's systems. "Now we don't have to cut our way in." Through the growing tears in the hull, they could see the interior of the Devourer, a crystalline cathedral of living gemstone that pulsed with absorbed starlight. The creature's heart was a massive sphere of pure energy, surrounded by flowing rivers of plasma that served as its bloodstream. "Teams Alpha and Beta, target the plasma conduits," Ben ordered as his crew leaped through the hull breaches. "Team Gamma, you're with me. We're going for the heart." The interior of the creature was like nothing in any alien database. The walls were alive, shifting and reforming as the Queen tried to digest the unexpected intruders. Crystalline antibodies. Creatures the size of shuttlecraft emerged from the walls to defend their host. "This is impossible," came Ambassador Thielen's voice over the communications. "They're fighting inside a living star entity. The radiation alone should kill them instantly." Captain Ben ducked under a crystalline tentacle and fired his plasma cutter at a major energy conduit. "Ambassador, we evolved on a world where everything tries to kill us. We learned a long time ago that sometimes the only way to win is to get close enough to die with your enemy." The Queen's crystalline body began to pulse erratically as the human assault teams damaged critical systems from within. It was the most dangerous mission in galactic history, and the humans were treating it like just another day at the office. Pilot So was dying, and he knew it. The Devourer Queen's crystalline tendrils had pierced his combat suit and were slowly draining his life force. He could feel his memories being pulled away, his thoughts becoming fuzzy as the creature tried to absorb his consciousness. But something strange was happening. Instead of simply consuming him like it had done to alien crews, the Queen was struggling. Her crystalline body flickered and sparked around So's position, as if she was having trouble digesting what she had captured. "So, report your status." Captain Bin's voice crackled through the damaged communications. "Sir, I'm being absorbed, but it's not working right," So gasped, fighting to stay conscious. "The creature seems confused, like it can't process what it's taking from me." Through the Queen's translucent body, So could see his fellow humans continuing their desperate assault. Sergeant Cho was fighting 3 crystalline antibodies at once, roaring with fury as his plasma cutter carved through their defenses. Lieutenant Yoon had lost her left arm but kept advancing toward the creature's heart, driven by pure determination. That's when So understood. The Devourers could absorb energy, matter, even simple thoughts and memories. But they had evolved to consume species that were logical, orderly, peaceful. They had never encountered minds like humans, chaotic, emotional, stubborn creatures who refused to accept defeat, even when facing impossible odds. "Captain," So shouted into his communicator, "they can't handle our emotions. Our chaos is poisoning them." Ben caught on immediately. "All teams, stop fighting defensively. Let them absorb you partially, but keep fighting. Stay angry, stay determined. Make them choke on what we are." The human assault teams did something that would have horrified any other species in the galaxy. Instead of trying to escape the Queen's absorption attempts, they deliberately allowed the creature to connect with their minds while maintaining their fierce resistance. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Queen's body began convulsing as 18 human minds flooded her consciousness with pure, unfiltered human emotion. Rage at the destruction of innocent worlds, determination to protect others at any cost, the stubborn refusal to surrender that had carried humanity through ice ages, plagues, and wars. The Devourer Queen's crystalline form cracked like breaking glass. Her death scream echoed across subspace, reaching every other devourer in the galaxy. One by one, across dozens of star systems, the creatures simply stopped moving. The hive mind that had connected them for millions of years had been destroyed by something they could never understand: the chaotic beauty of human emotion. 6 months after the Devourer crisis ended, Admiral DA stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Terra Combat Academy, watching the strangest sight in galactic history. Below her, in the training bays orbiting Earth, alien cadets were learning to fight like humans. "This feels wrong," muttered Cadet Velthor, a reptilian Zenth officer who had volunteered for the first exchange program. He was strapped into a combat simulator that was currently spinning him through a recreation of fighting inside a stellar corona. "My species has spent 10,000 years perfecting peaceful conflict resolution." "And where did that get you?" "When the Devourers came," replied Instructor Rue, a former assault marine who had fought in the binary system. "Sometimes peace isn't an option. Sometimes you have to be willing to charge into hell and punch the devil in the face." The training program was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. While other military academies taught strategy, logistics, and technology, the Terra Combat Academy taught something far more dangerous: the human mindset. Students learned to see impossible situations as interesting challenges. They practiced making split-second decisions under extreme stress. Most importantly, they learned that sometimes the best tactical option was the one that looked completely insane. Ambassador Thielin, now serving as the Galactic Council's permanent liaison to Earth, watched the training exercises with mixed fascination and horror. "I still don't understand how you do it," he said to Admiral Da. "Your species treats mortal danger like a recreational activity." Da smiled as she watched a Valkorian pilot successfully navigate an asteroid field while being chased by simulated hostiles. "Ambassador, we've been doing this our whole history. Every human child grows up on stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things when the situation demands it. We don't think we're special. We think everyone should be willing to step up when others need help." The formal recognition ceremony had been held just last week. The Galactic Council had officially designated humanity as the galaxy's crisis response specialists, a polite way of saying they were the people you called when everything had gone completely wrong. The message was already spreading across the galaxy through trade networks and diplomatic channels. When facing the impossible, when conventional wisdom failed, when the very survival of civilization was at stake, there was now a simple solution everyone knew about: call the humans. They'd probably think it sounded like fun. Admiral DA turned away from the observation window, satisfied. Earth's children were finally taking their place among the stars, not as conquerors or diplomats, but as the galaxy's emergency response team.